and welcome. Today we have a nice gentle practice to celebrate the winter solstice where we'll be focusing on creating space in the body. We'll get started lying down, so taking feet wide and letting knees drop in towards each other. And then taking the hands onto the rib cage and closing down the eyes and taking gentle inhales and exhales through the nose. And just taking a moment to check in with how you're feeling. And then taking your awareness to your rib cage and taking really slow, expansive inhales, feeling the rib cage expand. And then as you exhale, slowly feeling the ribs contract again. Inhale, really reaching those ribs apart, making it as full as you can, and then slowly exhale, emptying the lungs. Inhale as you slowly expand the ribs, taking them as wide as you can, and then exhale, slowly contracting. Inhale as you fill your lungs all the way to the top. And then exhale, emptying all the way to the bottom. And just staying with that slow, expansive breath. Really filling every part of the lungs. And then slowly releasing. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. Slowly feeling them expand. And exhale. We'll take 2 more breaths like this. Inhale as you fill the lungs. And release. And making this your last breath. And then exhaling out through the mouth and really clearing. We'll do that again. Inhale through the nose. And then exhale, clearing through the mouth. And one more time, in through the nose. And clear out through the mouth. And then slowly drawing the knees in towards the chest and just rocking left to right, giving the back a massage. And then taking nice big knee circles, so taking the knees apart and then drawing them back together. And then just taking those circles back the other way. And then drawing the knees together, dropping both knees to the right and taking the eye gaze to the left, palms up. Seeing if you can soften the body any more. And then drawing knees to center. And then taking your twist the other way. So knees left, eye gaze to the right. And then taking knees to center, extending the left leg and taking hold of the back of the leg wherever you can reach. You can lengthen the right leg along the mat and then just pointing and flexing that ankle. Seeing if you can draw that leg a little bit closer to you. And then hugging the knee in towards the chest. Taking some ankle circles, going one direction. And then taking them back the other way. And then drawing the left knee open, applying pressure to the inside of that knee. Anchoring the right side of the pelvis down with the right hand. And the option to take the big toe and extend that leg. And really drawing that foot open, but also towards the head. Feel that through the inner thigh. And then drawing that leg back to center and changing sides. So taking the right leg up towards the sky, extending the left leg and pointing and flexing that ankle. Seeing if you can draw that leg a bit closer. And just being aware if one side feels easier than the other. Really breathing into the back of the thigh. And then drawing that knee in towards the chest, taking those ankle circles. And reversing them. And then drawing that right knee open, anchoring the left side of the pelvis down. And the option to extend that right leg, taking hold of the big toe. And then drawing that right leg back to center. And then just releasing that leg. And then rolling onto the belly. And finding Sphinx pose. So spreading the fingers, grounding through the palms, lifting through the chest. Breathing here. Really engaging the back of the body. And then taking the hands a bit further in front and a bit wider. We'll inhale as we lift to find a high cobra. And then exhale, slowly rolling back down. Inhale to roll all the way up, lifting the eye gaze. And then exhale down. Inhale as we lift to find high cobra. And exhale down. And then coming onto the fingertips this time. Inhale as we slowly roll up, really engaging the back. And then looking back over the right shoulder, seeing if you can see that right heel. Taking eye gaze back to center. And then turning to look over the left shoulder. Eye gaze forwards and then slowly rolling down again. We'll do that again. So inhale as we slowly roll up. Looking back over the right shoulder. Eyes forwards. Look over the left shoulder. Eyes to front. And then slowly roll down. And then just bringing the forehead onto the back of the hands. And just pausing here for a few breaths. Allowing the breath to regulate. And then lifting the head. We'll bring the left hand to the center of the mat and sweep round and take hold of the right ankle. And then squeezing that right glute, lifting the leg, kicking the heel high. Seeing if you can clear the floor with that right thigh. Half bow. And then releasing that leg and changing sides. So right hand to the center this time, sweeping the left arm back, taking hold of that ankle and then kicking high with that foot. Seeing if you can clear the floor with that left thigh this time. And then slowly releasing. And then bringing the forehead onto the back of the hands again. And just shifting hips left to right, just easing any lower back tension. And then lifting the head and reaching the arms back, palms facing out. So reaching back towards the feet and then squeezing the glutes, lifting the legs, pointing with the toes, finding locust pose. And we're really drawing back with the hands to lift the chest, squeezing the back of the body and creating length. And then releasing, bringing the left cheek onto the back of the hand this time. And just pausing here. And then lifting the head again, reaching back with the arms, palms facing out, squeezing the glutes and finding locust pose again. Seeing if you can lift the legs a little higher. And then releasing, this time bringing the right cheek onto the back of the hands. And then lifting the head and coming onto the left side of your body. And then bending that supporting leg. And then slowly beginning to lift up through the waist, reaching the right hand to the sky and floating that top leg. Breathing here. Really drawing up through the side of the waist. An option to take hold of that top ankle and push the side of the pelvis forwards, that right hip forwards. And then releasing the ankle, floating down. And then coming up onto the knees. Sitting back on the heels, we'll reach the right hand to the sky and then drop it down between the shoulder blades. And just finding a tricep stretch. Easing that elbow back. And then reaching the left arm to the sky, dropping it between the shoulder blades again, and finding your tricep stretch. And then reaching both hands to the sky, interlacing the fingers, pushing the palms away. Shrugging the shoulders up towards the ears and trying to create length through the sides of the body. And then sweeping the hands behind, again interlacing the fingers, bringing the heels of the hands together. We'll inhale as we lift the eye gaze. And then exhale, fold forwards, bringing hands overhead. And then slowly rolling up, releasing the hands, and then coming onto the right side of the body. So bottom leg is bent, coming onto the forearm, palm facing down, and again lifting through the waist, extending the left hand to the sky this time. And option to float the top leg. Really pushing through that bottom elbow. And the option to take hold of the left ankle this time and push that hip forwards. So we can feel a stretch through the left quad. And then releasing that top ankle and then coming to find all fours. And then just working through some cat-cows. So inhale, lifting the eye gaze, really dropping the belly, sending the tailbone high. And then exhale, drawing navel to spine, rounding the back. Inhale as we lift the eye gaze. And exhale, pushing the floor away, dropping the head. Inhale, eye gaze to sky. And exhale, navel to spine. And one more time, inhale to lift the eye gaze. And exhale. And then coming back to find a neutral spine. And then just tucking the toes and hovering the knees. So really drawing the navel towards the spine and just really strengthening through the core. Breathing through. And then dropping the knees back down, untucking the toes, drawing navel to spine, and then extending the right leg out behind, pointing the toe, and then extending left arm. Trying to keep nice and stable. And then bringing left hand down and then lifting the right leg and taking it out towards the right side. So the leg is in line with the hip, toes are facing towards the top of the mat. Inhale as we lift the eye gaze, and then exhale, sitting the hips back, coming onto the forearms. And perhaps seeing if you can shuffle the toes forwards a bit more to increase the stretch. And then coming back onto the hands, bringing that right foot to the top of the mat. And then tucking the back toes, lifting the knee and shifting the weight forwards and backs. Just really squeezing that back quad, lifting the kneecap. And then left hand to the center of the mat. We'll inhale as we peel the right hand to the sky. And then exhale, wrapping it around the lower back and rolling that top shoulder open. Eye gaze up. And then dropping the back knee. We'll inhale as we sweep the hands forwards, coming all the way up, and then exhale, sinking those hips forwards, lifting through the chest, finding a back bend. And then the right hand can sweep back, find the back of the left thigh, and then sweeping the left arm to reach back. Lifting through the heart space. And then windmilling the arms forwards, bringing that right foot back and finding all fours again and just shifting weight left to right, easing any tension through the pelvis. And then drawing navel towards spine, and then this time reaching the left leg. Squeezing the glute, pointing through the toe, and then extending right arm. Creating length through the body. Breathing here. And then bringing the right hand down, taking that left leg out in line with the hip, toes facing forwards. Inhale as we lift the eye gaze, and then exhale, sitting the hips back, coming onto the forearms. And then coming back up onto the hands, bringing that left foot to the top of the mat, tucking the back toes, lifting the knee, shifting the weight forwards and back. Again, squeezing that back knee. And then right hand comes to the center of the mat. Inhale as we peel that left hand to the sky. And then exhale, wrapping it around the lower back, rolling that top shoulder open, taking the eye gaze to look behind. Again, lifting that back knee. And then dropping the back knee. Inhale as we sweep the hands forwards, coming all the way up. And then exhale, sinking those hips forwards, lifting through the heart space. Breathing here. We'll inhale here. As we exhale, left arm floats back, finds the back of the right thigh, and then reaching back with that right arm. And then windmilling the arms forwards. And then slowly dragging that back leg in to join the front and finding a forward fold at the top of your mat. Allowing the body to sway left to right. Lengthening the back of the neck. Just allowing the top half of the body to hang heavy. And then wrapping the peace fingers around the big toes. We'll inhale as we lift the eye gaze, taking a bend in the knees. And then exhale, fold forwards, elbows out to the sides. Drawing belly towards the thighs. Shifting the weight to the balls of the feet. And then inhale as we lift the eye gaze, taking a bend in the knees. And then threading the hands underneath the feet, palms facing up. And exhale, fold forwards. And then bending the knees, looking forwards, removing the hands from underneath the feet, taking hands to waist, and then inhale as we roll to standing, and exhale here. And then we'll take a step back with the left foot, toes are turned out by about 45 degrees. We'll inhale the left hand to the sky, and then exhale, taking it across to the outside of the front foot, so to the outside of the right foot. You can take your block if that helps. And then right hand palm can be to the base of the back, or you can take it up towards the sky. Trying to keep hips nice and square to the front. And then inhale to bring you back up. And then finding your high lunge. So coming onto the ball of the back foot, sending that left heel towards the mat and lifting through the chest. And then as we inhale, the left arm will travel back and draw a big circle. Exhale forwards. Inhale with the right arm back. Exhale forwards. Inhale left. Exhale forwards. And then inhale right. And exhale forwards. And then opening to find warrior two, grounding through the back edge of that back foot, and then lifting the front heel, trying to keep that front thigh parallel. Eye gaze forwards, just breathing here, navel to spine. And then the back arm, the left arm will travel around the back and take hold of the front thigh. We'll take the right palm up and then finding a reverse warrior, really opening through the side of the body. Breathing here, eye gaze to sky. And then dropping that heel and coming back to find a warrior two. Pausing here for a breath, and then the back arm will float down and then come back to find high lunge. So back heel is lifted, sending the heel towards the mat and breathing here. And then powering through the back leg to draw you forwards to the top of the mat. And then sinking back into the heels and finding Utkatasana. Firing up the back, reaching high with the fingers, navel to spine. We'll inhale here and then exhale to push you through the legs and come to standing. We'll repeat that on the other side. So taking a step back with the right foot this time, toes turning out. Locating your block and then inhale the right hand to the sky and exhale taking it across to the outside of that left foot. Left palm either to the base of the spine or extending it to the sky. And again, trying to square the pelvis to the top of the mat, drawing the left femur bone back into the pelvis. And then inhale to bring you all the way up and finding your high lunge again. So coming onto the ball of the back foot, sending the heel down towards the mat, lifting through the heart space, eye gaze up, breathing here. And then taking those circles. So inhale, the right arm travels back. Exhale forwards. Inhale, left arm back. Exhale forwards. Inhale with the right arm. Exhale and inhale left. And exhale. And then opening to find a warrior two. Really reaching away the fingers. And then coming onto the ball of that front foot. So lifting the heel. And really firing up this thigh. Trying to keep it parallel to the floor. And then the right arm sweeps behind, takes hold of the front thigh. We'll flip the front palm. Inhale as we reach forwards. And then exhale, finding your reverse warrior. One breath, more breath here. And then dropping the front heel, coming back to find a warrior two. One breath here. And then the back arm floats down. And then coming back to find your high lunge. Lifting the eye gaze, breathing here. And then powering through the back leg, pushing forwards and finding your Utkatasana again. So drawing the ankles, the knees, the thighs together, sitting the weight back into the heels, firing up the back, reaching high with the hands, navel to spine. And then floating the arms back, squeezing the triceps. And then pushing through the legs to bring you to standing, giving the legs a shake. And then taking feet wide, toes facing the long edge of the mat. And then hands to waist. Inhale as we lift the eye gaze. And then exhale, fold forwards. 5 breaths here. Really lifting the kneecap, squeezing the quads. And then softening the knees. Inhale as we slowly roll to standing. And exhale. Inhale as we lift the eye gaze. Exhale, fold forwards, taking the hands onto the mat and then walking the heels of the hands back. We're aiming for them to be in line with the heels of the feet. And then drawing the chest towards the mat. 5 breaths. And then walking the hands forwards, extending the arms. Inhale as we lift the eye gaze. Exhale, emptying the lungs. Soften the knees, taking hands to waist. Inhale as we slowly roll to standing. And exhale, taking the feet together. We'll draw the right knee towards the chest. Squeezing it in towards the body. Finding your drishti, your fixed point to gaze at. And slowing down the breath. And then drawing that knee open. And then taking the sole of the foot to the inside of the leg and finding tree pose. Taking hands to heart center. And then releasing the ankle and changing sides. So drawing knee to chest. Squeezing towards the body. Finding your fixed point. And then taking that knee open. And then finding tree pose. Hands to heart center. And then slowly releasing that ankle, but then coming into Ardha Chandrasana, so extending that leg and reaching the arms wide, taking your block if you need to, really lifting that back toe, rolling that top hip open and reaching the fingers wide. And then floating that leg down and finding Ardha Chandrasana on the other side. So slowly lifting that right leg, pointing through the toe, reaching the hands wide, rolling that top hip open. And then floating that back leg down. And then walking the feet wide and finding a Buddha squat. Shifting the weight left to right. And then coming onto the bottom and extending both legs. And then walking the hands in front and dropping the head. Trying to keep these legs open so we're not letting toes drop in. And breathing into this stretch through the inner thigh. And then slowly rolling up and tucking in the ankle. And then taking a forward fold again. And then slowly coming up and then changing sides, so extending one leg, drawing heel to bottom and folding forwards. And then slowly coming up and then shifting the weight, so we're facing the short edge of the mat, finding Janushirasana A. So left sole of the foot to the inside of the right leg and folding forwards. Eye gaze to the big toe, leading forwards with the chest to keep the spine long. And then coming up, bringing the forearm to the inside of the leg or the palm. We'll inhale the hand to the sky and then exhale, finding a side bend, keeping the chest open. And then inhale to bring you up. And then extending both legs and folding forwards. Just allowing the spine to round, dropping chin to chest. And then slowly rolling up. And then bringing the right sole of the foot to the inside of the left leg this time. And again, folding forwards, finding Janushirasana. Spine is long. And then rolling up, bringing that hand to the inside of the extended leg. Inhale, hand to sky. And then exhale, finding your side bend, coming onto the forearm if you can. Chest is open. And then inhale to bring you back up. And again, extending both legs. And then just taking a hold of your block. We'll come into tabletop or Purvottanasana. So taking fingers so they're facing the feet and then lifting the hips. Either legs are extended or soles of the feet on the mat, knees are bent. Really squeezing the glutes to lift those hips high. And then slowly coming down. Placing the soles of the feet on the mat, shifting hips forwards, taking palms up, navel to spine, and then super slowly under control, rolling back. Coming onto the back. And then taking your block, we'll come into a supported bridge. So rooting down through the feet, taking heels close to the bottom, lifting the hips and placing your block underneath the sacrum. Making sure it's comfortable, and then palms facing up. Letting go of the breath. Softening the belly. Letting go of any tension through the forearms, the palms of the hands. And then pushing into the feet, lifting the hips, removing your block, and slowly rolling down. Drawing knees to chest and just rocking left to right. And then dropping both knees over to the right, taking eye gaze to the left. Option to extend the top leg. And then slowly drawing knees back to center, resetting the hips, and then taking knees to the left. Option to extend the top leg, and then eye gaze the other way. And then drawing knees back to center. And then finding a happy baby. So arms on the inside of the legs. Take hold of the outside of the feet. Drawing knees open. Soles of the feet up to the sky. And then releasing the feet, bringing the soles of the feet together, letting knees drop wide and taking hold of opposite elbows above the head. Softening through the inner thigh to let the knees drop open. Releasing any tension through the forearms or the hands. Giving the belly the space it needs. And either staying as you are or slowly lengthening the legs along the mat. Letting toes drop open and coming into Shavasana. So palms facing up, drawing shoulders away from the ears. And enjoying a few minutes of stillness. Of silence. Allowing the mind to go really quiet. And staying in Shavasana for as long as you want to. Or if you're ready to wake the body up, then just taking a full body stretch, pointing through the toes. And slowly in your own time coming up to find a seated position. Keeping the eye gaze down, and then we'll seal our practice with an Om. So bringing hands to heart center, take a nice big inhale through the nose. Thank you for practicing with me today. I hope you can be kind with yourself and allow yourself as much rest as you need with these short days and these with lots of darkness, and I will see you again in the new year. Thank you.